Hi, guys. I'm David with Transparency Fitness Live, and today we are joined with Alan and Jessica from Jacked Nutrition, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Well, I'm Jessie Jackson, not the Reverend.
And I'm Alan Jackson.
Give us a little
singer.
Give us a little background, like Jacked Nutrition. Tell us a little bit about Jacked Nutrition and
absolutely.
kind of what you guys got going on over there.
Yeah, so we are a local-based meal prep company here in Lexington, and we actually focus on helping people who live busy lifestyles be able to be fueled so that way they can fuel their goals, whatever they may be, and they don't have to sacrifice the nutrition piece.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You just stopped on me there. All right.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, really, I can stop there.
Fair enough. So, we wanted to have you guys on because, well, I'm a huge fan of your guys' meals. I pretty much get them every single week, and it helps me stay aligned throughout the week and making sure that, I have a nice balanced diet. But, yeah, I would love to kind of hear your guys' journey, your kind of story of where you guys started at, how you got to where you're going, kind of like your mission plan. I know that having a well-balanced macro meals, overall for your main meals, unless someone are doing custom meals, which you guys do, are really important to you. So that when you get a meal from you guys, if it's not something custom that someone asks for, it's going to be pretty well balanced, the right macro nutrition, if I can say that right. If I can pronounce words today.
Right. Words are hard.
They are. They really, really are sometimes.
Yeah, so we actually got started, the seeds of Jacked were planted on the back of Alan's pickup truck on our first date.
No pun intended.
So we were actually out on our first date trying to find something. He was doing bodybuilding at the time. I was trying to do better with my nutrition. And so we were trying to find some place to eat that was healthy, that we could have, that was available and open. Well, we ended up with a Walmart rotisserie chicken, some grapes, and a coconut water that we shared.
It's not the worst thing, though, right? I mean,
no, we made it work. We absolutely did. But then we really found out at that point in time, like, wouldn't it be awesome if there was a place that we could go that fit our macros and we didn't have to do anything? They just did it for us. And it's, we could sit here and enjoy a meal together.
And yes, it is awesome, guys.
and not have to worry about that. And, fast forward a little bit, we lived in Huntington, West Virginia, which at one point was the unhealthiest city in the nation. And we were doing our meal prep thing. And so, Alan was working inside of factories. He's a service engineer by trade, going into these factories and teaching people how to eat just by bringing in his meal, that we were kind of doing on our own.
So people were starting to change up some of their diets, like just fellow coworkers that didn't necessarily have any skin in the game as far as trying to lose weight or necessarily going to the gym. They just saw the good, healthy food that he was eating.
Oh, well, he can even tell you, like, working in those environments those guys are living off of peanut butter crackers and Mountain Dew, and
That's not healthy? Because that sounds really healthy and tasty at this very moment.
But, someone comes rolling in with blackened salmon, and it's like, oh, my gosh, what is that? And it opened the door for him to be able to not force his lifestyle or force any type of education. People just ask questions, and he answered the questions and, said, yeah, you can eat healthy without it costing a lot of money, and you can eat healthy and you don't have to eat this way anymore, and really get them to change their lifestyle. And Alan, you can say a little bit about, what the environment was like that you were working in, and why was it so different for you to walk in with a prepped meal?
Unlike other people, they have country food, and it's very tasty, and well, that's the norm with factory workers because it's more blue collar, not your average lawyer, attorney, etc. So it's kind of different. They don't have containers of meals. They got big plates that are wrapped in cellophane, and it's just one of those things like, I want to eat my leftovers because I'm saving money, but that doesn't save your health.
Which costs you more money on the back end, as they say.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yep, absolutely. So, to fast forward from there, I personally got.
So we just kind of to intersect real quick.
Yeah.
As far as the cooking concerned, like right at the beginning, were both of you doing the cooking, or, did you have any kind of background in cooking, or did you just decide one day, like, I'm just going to learn how to cook healthy and tasty here?
Yeah, so a really funny story is Alan was working out of town, and so he had brought his, like, plate with him and his scale, and he's like, I'm gonna cook you some chicken, girl. I'm gonna cook you some chicken. And I was like,
Did
this
he say
guy
just like that? I'm gonna cook you.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Tree as
Yeah.
fuck.
Absolutely.
You don't know what a minnow is.
And so what happened was I was like, this guy's either crazy or he knows what he's doing. And he was like weighing out his food. And I had learned about, macronutrients after meeting Alan. But
So you were still early on in your fitness career as well.
I was a college athlete, and I had got out of college athletics and really kind of fell into a depression, which, most athletes do. You're so used to being somewhere and no one being at practice, and then you have to
Someone's
go.
always telling you what to do.
Exactly. And you have to go and you basically have to do life, right?
Right.
So it was really hard. I didn't feel like I was part of a team anymore in different environments, things like that. And so I really kind of fell into a little bit of a depression and wanted to stay healthy. And I actually got into boxing. So I went to like a cardio boxing gym, like a title boxing gym. I loved it because I was able to do like my competitive thing, but then I wasn't really like, boxing. I was just working with a coach, and they're like, hey, if you lifted, you'd be a lot stronger. So I started getting into lifting, and then really shortly, honestly, after that, I met Alan, who was training bodybuilding, and then I really loved bodybuilding.
We got a boxer and a bodybuilder walk into a bar.
Just think what kind of baby you would have, huh?
So with that, I really started picking up like the lifestyle and really just became a sponge and like, okay, how does this work? Because I loved it because I was competitive with myself. I was going to the gym and like, okay, I want to get a better lift than what I was doing last time.
Right.
And then, the nutrition, I was like, okay, I want to get better. So I have to eat better in order to do that. And surprisingly, like at the time, there wasn't a lot as far as resources for nutrition when it came to me being a
Yeah, I
college
feel like
athlete.
the resources for nutrition has really come a long way probably in the last 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
Like,
Same with PT, like physical therapy.
yeah, right. So there's just been a lot of, because we just don't have the knowledge base about food and muscles, attendance that we'd like to. I read an article, and I don't know if it's true, that where we're at with the understanding of health and fitness is where we're at medically back in the early 1900s. So we've still got so much to uncover and learn about the body and how food, because we both could eat the same exact food but have a completely different way that our body processes it and how it uses that for energy.
Yep, absolutely. The saying is true. Like we could all have the same diets, we could all follow the same workouts, and our bodies would still look completely different.
So you're boxing. He's weightlifting. He's scaling out food. You're like, what are you doing, crazy person? Like,
Yep.
what is this craziness? He's taking meals now to his fellow coworkers.
Yeah. I just basically picked up the lifestyle, honestly. And so I started like doing the cooking the chicken and the rice, and then I got sick of chicken and rice, and I was like, I want to make enchiladas.
I've been sick of chicken and rice for years.
I want to make enchiladas, and I want to make these things, but I want to make them and not feel terrible.
Right.
So you mentioned like a cooking background. I honestly don't really have a cooking background. My dad was in the military, and really honestly, like in the house, we didn't have just like ramen noodles. It was shrimp and brown sugar and lime juice. Okay, we're going to make coconut shrimp. And that's how I just learned to familiarize myself in the kitchen and just kind of have flavors that went together. So we started taking things that we liked and making them into meals that were within our macros. Yep, and that were enjoyable.
Right. Mm-hmm. That is a problem when you are trying to eat healthy.
Right.
It is trying to enjoy it. And I think at the end of the day, if you are a professional like Alan was as a bodybuilder, I get that for them, they have to eat so clean that it's almost impossible to really eat anything healthy. I mean, they'd even probably have to eat cleaner than some of your guys' meals. Just in the aspect of like the amount of protein and stuff that they have to digest and take in, and there's just not so much cheating, especially right before a big competition.
No room.
So I feel like they would. But I'm guessing you have some bodybuilders, and they probably a lot of your serious bodybuilders, professional bodybuilders, they have you guys do custom stuff for them, right?
Yes,
so that it's
all
balanced
custom.
in a way that their macronutrients is going to be different than your everyday average person. That's really what I meant by the meals.
Yep. Yep, they're
for
going
you
to go
guys.
more the custom route versus the chef items, which
Right.
we put in the menu to make it tolerable. That's part of our, really honestly, some of our principles to nutrition that I've put into place from my nutrition coaching and philosophies
Right.
and implemented that
And you're
into
precision nutrition certified level 1, if I'm not correct,
certified
right?
level 1 in the middle of level 2
Level
right
2,
now.
okay.
Yep.
And so how has that helped with Jacked Nutrition and just your overall personal experience and fitness journey getting that certification?
Yeah, so with Jack Nutrition, the biggest thing has been this: the level 1 is like a lot of your science stuff, which you're
Right.
going to find in a basic nutrition protocol, which basically I was already living that lifestyle. All of these things I had already learned by living them first. So we put in mileage first, and then I actually did things a little bit reversed. Then I was like, I want my nutrition certification so I can help people and say I got the certification to do that. But we put in the mileage first. And, Alan and I both live by the fact that, knowledge without mileage is bullshit.
Exactly. So
I
I
say
also
that on here, but
no, totally go for it. I also went through the level 1 certification, and I think the biggest thing that I got from it was it really helped me understand maybe how I can coach people to change their habits, because overall I didn't feel like it helped with like what kind of foods and macros, right? Because again, it goes back to everybody's going to be a little bit different, but what it did do is it helped me understand how I might be able to explain something in a different way or coach a person a different way so they can slowly change those habits, and then I can help them eat the right food.
Right.
Because what's the use of eating the right food if you're just going to do it for a couple days or a month? Like, I am so against like a crash diet. Like, it's consistency, right? And that's something that you guys are offering people is a healthy, consistent way to eat, not just for someone that works out in the gym like myself, where it's kind of nice because I don't have to worry about my macros throughout the week. I kind of have an idea of what the amount of protein I want in my body and how many calories I want. And your guys' packaging breaks all that information down, and so long as I just look at how many calories whatever I'm eating from you guys that day, and then I just kind of add it up in my head and make sure that I'm getting enough protein.
Absolutely. Yeah. The biggest thing is making it practical and making it real. Like you said, it comes down to habits with your nutrition. Nutrition is just like anything else. It comes down to your habits and what you are doing with your habits. And that's why, a big thing that I personally really want to get folks to understand is that nutrition is actually part of the success equation. You read the 7 habits of highly effective people, those types of things, And so like there's writing down your goals every day. Nutrition should be fully part of that whole thing, because the things that you have to do to be able to have your nutrition be on point to help you fuel you through all of those goals, it's a part of the success story.
And the problem is that while people that do take the time and change their lifestyle and the way that they eat food and the right kind of fuel into their body, they'll see the difference, and a lot of them will stick to it if they made it far enough down the path of doing it. But there's just so many people that aren't even willing to even make the effort to change that. And so that kind of goes back to what you're doing as a nutritionist and helping people look at it at a different
coach.
Nutrition coach.
I cannot claim that I put that effort in.
Fair enough. A nutrition coach. We'll get it right.
Nutrition.
I can't. Words are hard for me today.
Nutrition.
But it allows you to help people, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
So kind of going back, we're what, West Virginia, you said?
Yeah, we were in West Virginia, and there was just like a serious lack of education as far as nutrition goes. And being in that environment, we just learned to have a heart for the people. We really wanted to help, like, we can do this, you can too. And that goes back to like what we'd find out is like we'd be taking meals to work, and then people would be like, I really honestly, like, I want to eat healthier. And that's what would come out. And we're like, okay, those are the real goals that people have. Those are the deep goals.
Right.
Then the shallow goals are like what Alan talked about, was the cellophane wrapped leftovers. Like, that's easier though. So it's like, how do we mesh the two into one? How do we make something easy and convenient, doesn't take people's too much money and too much time?
Was there a lot of trial and error early on? Things that you like, this didn't work out, or we should have done this differently, or
I think you have that with anything.
Right.
If you don't have that, you're not growing.
well, right, you got to make
Yeah.
mistakes because when you make that mistake. So I just wonder if there's any mistakes that like stick out to you just in general. You're like, "Whew, happy we learned that one and we didn't make that one again."
Do you have anything?
You got something for me, or do you guys?
you want my input?
Yeah, we'd love to have your opinion.
So,
Alan.
so there's no mistakes, just learning opportunities. And we've learned that the people that use snap lid containers can't claim that their food can last in a refrigerator for 7 days plus. The people that have state-of-the-art vacuum capabilities, those types of containers that pull all the oxygen out so that there's no way that there's things can deteriorate, preserves the food longer. So early on, you can't afford that as a young company and starting out. So unless you had a good amount of backing money,
right.
So those things like that started like, okay, I need to get on this.
So that was a
now.
big thing for you guys when you guys switched from doing the lids to being able to actually seal.
Yes.
What's the proper terminology? I guess just cellophane seal.
So map packaging.
Matte packaging. Okay.
Yep, is what we have now. We will be going to a different type of packaging here soon.
I know you've been talking about it. You've been telling me about it for
Yeah.
like months since I first
continued.
met you, and you cannot wait
Yes.
for that to get completed.
I just love how it sucks to the food and molds to it. It's like a pretty piece of jewel, like like a baby without the wah.
So,
Yeah.
how did you guys end up in Kentucky from Virginia,
yeah.
West Virginia?
Well,
like, what brought you
we
here?
were
How'd you
not
get the
doing-
business
Yeah,
off the
we were
ground?
not doing the business. We were doing that just at home. That's just the lifestyle that we lived.
Was it even Jack to Nutrition then, or is it just you guys just making some meals for some people and
He
making some
claims
meals for
that
yourself?
He had the name picked out when it was just like a pipe dream, He's like, we're going to have a meal prep company, and it's going to be called Jacked Nutrition. And I was like,
Do you want to know a little bit about that?
Yeah,
How it started?
yeah, of course.
So
It's a great name, I think, for a meal prep company.
right?
Personally,
And our last name's Jackson, and
just
Jack.
everything just flows.
Alan's also like very mechanically inclined. So when you talk about a jack, what does a jack do? It lifts something up, right? And so what are we trying to do? We're trying to lift people up in the community and in their goals and support them
Right.
with nutrition.
Definitely multiple meanings in the name, but you can take your pick, whatever fits for you. Kind of like our food. Whatever you like, you can choose it.
I like it all.
So when we started out, it was more of a dream to help people in our local area, which is Huntington at the time, because it's very poverty-stricken. And we wanted it like a gym, but with like an eatery to be able to serve those people and give them a good nutrition. Plus, they can come in and do workouts, and we can have a computer room for the kids and stuff to help them, get their homework done, or
Right.
whatever. Because there's tons back home. So down here, it was a different story when we moved. There's a plethora of those facilities, but the need for good nutrition was lacking, like the access to. Instead of having, you have to do it,
Right.
there's no companies doing it. So we kind of just one day came together and we found that we was doing each other's, at our work, people was asking for us to make their own food for them.
Right.
So that's how that happened. Now, with the company itself, the Jack Nutrition, the name was easy. The logo, on the other hand, I had a kangaroo because this son of a bitch stood like this and he was jacked. He was a bad dude, and I loved that kangaroo. I wanted it to work so bad, but obviously you can see what we got here
Yeah.
now. More of a neutral, tell you kind of who we are and what we do. It's more holistic, and that's what our company is. We want to help and be that sustaining company in the community, So,
Alan is a very, very particular person when it comes to getting stuff done the way that he thinks it should be done. This is actually how we met.
OCD.
So I'm picking up hats, Transparency Fitness hats. He's picking up T-shirts. He spent all this money on these T-shirts, and they're like a quarter of an inch. How like they were bare. In my opinion, I can't tell, but Alan can tell, and he's sitting there drilling them because it's barely off centered to where he wanted it, but it was far enough off that he was not happy.
like it drooped below my nipple. you know, if you can imagine if you had our logo right here, it was down here. Like, it's gaudy looking. I was like, oh, it's supposed to be in that quadrant. I'm like, above that quadrant maybe. And you know, I was kind of mad. I was pissed off because they didn't deliver a product that they said they were going to deliver in the spot that they said. I mean, top left. I mean, I can expect it to be up by my damn clavicle or something,
right?
But not below my rib cage. So that's what upset me. We came.
I probably would have never reached out to you because I'm like, this guy's crazy. But you said something about meal prepping. I was like, oh shit, I don't want to cook. I want to just buy food and eat it. That's healthy. I gotta reach out to this guy.
Yeah. Well, who reached out to who?
No, you did. You might have actually. Yeah, you emailed me. I emailed you back.
You gave me your contact info, and I said I would be in touch.
But anyway, so that's how we met. We're both picking up our merch, you know, to sell you guys. So you guys want some Jack Nutrition shirts or some Transparency Fitness Life hats, hit us up. We'll hook it up. Yep.
Very good. Very good loop. Very good
there you
loop.
go. There you go.
But yeah, that was a big deal. Was the logo because at first and that's really.
Now, were you guys still in Virginia or West Virginia at the time?
We were in West Virginia, and we had been
when you were starting to work on the logo stuff.
No. We had been in Lexington here, but it was just something we talked about. And when Alan came up with the name, he was like, we were like, wouldn't it be cool to, you know, we just play with that, like when, you know, what if we had our place? And then he'd be like, we are, and it's going to be called Jack Nutrition. And I was like, what would the logo be? And he'd be like, it's going to be a kangaroo. And I'm like, well, what does a kangaroo have to do? And he goes, Kangaroo Jack Nutrition. And that was the first play of our logo.
Right.
And, you know, then we really went off of that. But then what we found is like later on when the business got started, that was really not our niche. Like it was easy to cater to folks who worked out and were in the bodybuilding community, but it was actually intimidating to have this, you know, kangaroo guy and he's like, and his shirt was like ripped, and we felt like that's not really our audience here.
You wanted the bigger demographic that you could reach out
to.
Because you guys have quite a few, I guess I would say, senior citizens, you know, that get your food.
Yeah, and then I mean, honestly, folks that are working in offices, and we call them the ground shakers of Lexington. Like,
okay, so it's not necessarily your gym goers. It's like just everyday people that are just trying to eat healthier and have a good tasting meal, and make it easy for them, right?
And honestly, a lot of them are very goal oriented. So they also own nonprofits. They're here, like I said, working in the community. They do, you know, like they have their own side business or realtors, things like that. People,
I've already met like 10 people throughout local people I've networked with, all thanks to Alan.
Right. And that is who we service. And so that's why we love having the demographic that we do, because, and that's what really kind of changed our mentality as we were going through it. At first we were like, we're going to have all these bodybuilders and then blah, blah, blah. And it actually ended up being completely different. And I couldn't be more happier because it helped us establish these principles of nutrition that are actually going to be more geared toward just any person.
Okay.
And so with that, because any person can sit there and say, number one, that they can eat better, and even at this table. Yeah.
No, I 100%. I could have probably eaten better just today.
Exactly. And then also the other thing is that everyone else that, you know, other, like our clients, the other aspect of that is the fact that they have goals and they're very goal driven and they care about their health. They really do. And they want to be better at it. But then it's like, you have to give up. Okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to give up the goals, or do I want to spend more time and energy on my nutrition? And our society just hasn't made that shift yet. You know, I think we're working on it, but, you know, it's not uncommon for the hustler who's going out doing sales, young guy, have a box of granola bars in the back, and someone, you know, he's listening to a podcast and they're like, grind. But what happens when you listen to those folks and they're like, I wish I would have taken better care of myself back then.
You can do both.
Mm-hmm. You can do both.
Yeah. Yep. All thanks to Jack Nutrition.
Jack Nutrition.
I thought you guys were Jack Nutrition for like the first like week or two that I knew you guys, and then I was like, oh wait a minute, it's Jacked.
Yep.
Not only can I not speak, but I can't read apparently.
It's okay. It's all right. Food will help.
Did you guys? So you guys are in the pasta garage, in the back of the pasta garage, where you guys do all of your cooking.
Yep. The Lexington Incubator.
Yeah, here in Lexington at the Lexington Incubator. Now, were you guys doing any kind of mass-produced food before that, or was your guys that next step when you guys, I guess, signed the lease and started working out of there? Is that when you guys started really taking it to the next level, or were you already doing a lot of cooking at home beforehand?
Well, that's where the business got started. So for anyone who's trying to start their own business or meal prep or anything like that, you cannot start your restaurant or food business if it's not within a residential kitchen.
That makes sense.
Or
So
a
if you're
commercial
doing
kitchen.
it like officially,
commercial kitchen. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. You cannot do it in a residential kitchen. You have to do it within a commercial
Okay.
kitchen.
It's all about zoning.
Yep.
Okay.
And that is a Kentucky thing. You know, you can go to Ohio and
Same
it's
thing.
different. Yeah.
you guys been in business what, 2 years?
2.5.
2.5.
West Virginia, you don't have to.
Okay, fair enough.
But
Well, I didn't know if you guys
yeah.
were just kind of doing like low volume, like 30 or 40 meals for people.
Well, we were,
kinda.
but it was like a beta program.
Right.
So like when we first started getting folks, like back to what you said, we actually were here in Lexington. I took a job here as a skilled trades recruiter. Alan transferred with his company at the time.
Okay.
And so then we were just doing this at home for ourselves, and then we were bringing our lunches to work, and people started asking about them. And this is like the best.
People always asking about your food wherever you go. It
They're
sounds like
where do you
little
buy,
trend here.
Where do you buy that? And you know, I had someone at work ask me that, and I was like, "Well, we make this at home." And they're like, "Well, would you make some for me?" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure we have extra. Let me just ask." So I go to this guy, and I'm like, "Look, someone wants to buy our meals from work. Like, what do you think about that?" And he was like,
Money.
Hell yeah.
Hell
and
yeah.
I was like, "Wait a minute." And he actually had like this like, look, and I was like, "What did you do?" And he's like, "Well, I've been letting people try your meals for the past several months." So he'd bring in an extra meal to work, and people would always ask him because, like I said, you know, working in a factory, you smell salmon or chicken,
Right.
you're like, "Oh my gosh." Then he had the opportunity that's opened the door for him to talk about nutrition and his journey with nutrition, which would be a really good point for us to talk about, is like how he got on his health kick journey. But so, and healthy eating. But so lo and behold, like he was like, "Yeah, so this is a thing." And I was like, "This is a thing." And then we did it as a beta program. So
Okay.
everyone who signed up, like got meals through us, like signed a waiver, like, "Hey, this is a beta program, like trying to test out the market." Then when Alan was like, "Hey, if we hit this number, then you can you can take over the business full time, quit your job, and we can do the business full time." And that next week, like he said that on a Monday, and then that week we hit that number. And so then we went into the incubator.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are, from the outside looking in, it looks pretty good to me. Like, you guys seem really busy. So I guess the other thing I really want to talk about is ingredients, because I know you guys have, like, when I first met you guys, that was kind of the big thing, was like how you guys try to kind of set yourself apart from other meal prepping companies is being able to bring a price point that people can afford, but like actually know that your ingredients are actually good quality ingredients. And we'll let you rant about your chicken here in a minute, Alan, because you are very proud, and your chicken is very, very good. It is very moist. It's great tasting chicken, but Alan is very proud of his chicken provider.
Right. It's not below the nipple.
It's not below the nipple, right? It is he approved it.
It's great breasts.
The biggest thing with ingredients is, and this is part of our principles of nutrition, and that is going to whole food products. So anyone who's just starting off wanting to eat healthy, the first step I always have them do is just switch to whole food products, which is not food from Whole Foods. It's food. It's food that comes
I thought all whole food products just came from Whole Foods.
Right. I just like to clarify.
Amazon is
I'm
ruining
over communicating a little bit, but there's no harm in
you
that.
should. You really should. I think there may be some people that are listening that may not know exactly what a whole food is.
Right. And so Whole Foods is as little preservatives as possible. So you can find a potato naturally. That's a whole food. You cannot find a potato chip off of a tree somewhere. You know what I mean? That's been a potato that has been processed,
right,
and preservatives have been added to that. So a whole food product is as close as to the actual source as possible. So switching to whole food products versus having a whole bunch of preservatives is the first step that we take. And so if we're telling folks to, hey, only eat whole food products as much as you can, we want those products to be as minimally processed as possible and of the highest quality. And I'll let Alan go into the chicken.
Yeah, I want to hear about the meat, because all your meat's locally sourced, right? Even your beef? Let's hear about it. He's proud, and I'm happy that you guys do help some local businesses as well. I mean, that's great that you guys are all working together.
We want to know.
Well, tell me about the meat, man.
Oh,
Your meat is amazing. I mean, I've had the chicken, I've had the beef. The barbecue.
yes,
Your guys' barbecue is fire.
Yeah.
yes. That's a trade secret.
That I will get out
just
of
to
them
let you
one
know.
day.
Yeah, behind the scenes, you have to do some things. So, moving on. So, the two things that I really take pride in is obviously quality and customer service. So, the quality of my products gives a great customer service, right? So, the chicken. We started out with a brand that was, you all may know, is Tyson. The no antibiotics and
Never heard of them? Are they very big?
Yeah, 18-pound bird. Who? What? That's a damn turkey, right?
That is a big bird.
That's yes, anywhere from.
And I actually
11
watched the
stupid crazy.
the guy that did the Super Size Me did another documentary on the chicken industry, and it is kind of ridiculous. I mean, they're growing chickens like in like 3-4 weeks. They're going full chickens in weeks,
Instead of months. Yeah,
and they like have all kind of dysfunctional, like all the steroids and like stuff they're putting in them.
Can't even move. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't move.
Well,
They're
they're in like a
set to-
super small area. They're
Yeah.
stacked on. They literally will suffocate themselves. Some of them will die just from there's too many of them.
You're probably eating it. That's probably where the woody chicken comes from. But really, the woody chicken comes from an overaged bird that was grown too quick.
Right.
Like, so your 4-week bird that's 13 pounds, yes. That's where you get that woody chicken. Like, it grew too quick and it didn't have time to mature.
Right.
So
Woody chicken for the viewers is like if you ever go and you get chicken somewhere and it's almost like a rubbery like texture and
But
not quite like
cardboard.
a cartilagey, but yeah, and it's a real thing. It's
Yeah.
a real thing. And so if you ever get that, the chicken is cooked, but it is from an old bird.
However, if you get Jack Nutrition meals, it's not a real thing.
Yes. So
Woody
the
chicken.
rep that we was working with at the time, he was kind of a disbeliever, but he had been working for a long time, so I had to save some chicken for that man. And he was a believer after that. So we started to source and find another company that they got chicken from. And so that way, and I work with vendors because I have to. If I work with straight directly to a local farm that doesn't have like things in place to where they can track their batches, we don't want to be in that situation when we're making millions of meals, a year. So anyways, another story for another time.
There's legal reasons behind that because
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can literally trace our meat and our proteins back to the cow.
Or the
so
chicken.
Really?
Or the chicken.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like we can
very
know where
important.
the farm is, we know exactly where it is, where the cattle is
I'm gonna
held.
need that
and-
information to be included with all my meals
and
in the future.
the
now.
reason
Get with
for
legal.
that is because as we've experienced sometimes like E. coli breakouts or whatever with like lettuce and
that
things like
makes
that.
sense.
So we're able to actually track it to those sources.
It's hard if
and-
you buy local.
Yeah.
Like directly straight from that local producer.
Right.
You need to go through a broker, the broker which sets up those types of procedures.
So even if you buy local, it's still best to buy through a broker locally.
correct.
So
for
that you can.
what we're doing,
Right.
like large batches, where
if
we're
you're a
feeding
restaurant,
so many people.
it's a different. Like, okay, the flavor of the day is XYZ. Yeah, they do that. They can do that really easily because they can see that it's fresh, and they don't have to make thousands of meals for the whole week.
Right.
So it's a different story, kind of different game. Although I love local stuff, and so I do as much as possible through our vendors. So anyway, so the woody chicken, it's our birds now. They are maximum of 7 ounces, 7-ounce birds. So you don't ever get a young chicken that's 14 pounds. So it doesn't create any kind of immaturity in the bird's just a badass organic without being labeled organic.
Right.
Meat, the ground beef. So these cows that they get, we source our beef from, they're played mature, nice, comforting music like piano music and out west, in Colorado to be exact, and which is really cool because it makes the meat so tender. Like,
So do you actually believe that helps? Like were you
several thousand studies? Yeah.
okay? Yeah, I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but I've heard
Japanese.
about it.
It's
So
it's the Japanese thing.
the Japanese thing.
Yeah, you know how they play
Kobe
music
beef.
at work,
Yeah.
at Toyota and stuff,
Right,
places like that. Yeah, it's just for comforting and like
Okay.
calm.
I mean, the beef is good. There's no complaints with the beef.
exactly.
Yeah. Plus,
Yeah,
I mean, you have to think a lot. Like animals are very similar. So when we have high cortisol levels, guess what? You're probably really tight, like muscle wise. Whoops, I spit on your microphone. I'm sorry. You're
Don't
tight.
do it again.
Used to
So
it.
the same thing happens with animals. Like when they're kept in tight quarters and they're overly stressed, same thing happens. You have the cortisol effects that we have with fight or flight
Right.
that
Of course.
happen in animals. It's part of life. And so that's where you see like some of the beef not being as tender, or then of course you add the processing, and when the processing is the way that it is, then it does affect the meat and the beef.
So you're not cooking anymore. You finally
Not
you
as
finally
much.
you finally
Yeah.
gotten to
Not
do
as
more of the
much.
day-to-day operation stuff. You guys have a handful of cooks now, right? I mean, you guys have kind of grown to where you have multiple cooks. You have delivery drivers.
5 to 8 players.
Yeah.
Right now, and growing and adding more people every
And you
day.
guys are looking at some commercial spaces, hopefully, right?
Yes.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
have
yeah.
our own space, have our own energy, and then also do consultation. So people can walk in and they're like, I don't even know how I should be eating. They can come sit down and talk, and we can talk about basis of principles of nutrition, your habits, things like that.
So you'll be able to kind of take, because I feel like to a certain extent you're doing part of your mission, but that other part is going to come with having your own facility. Because you guys have even talked about having a gym potentially attached, so that that all that could be tied in together for the people that do want to do gym related stuff and want to eat
Correct.
healthy.
Yeah, and we want to offer that for our workers too, because folks in the service industry are expected to give, and they're giving from empty cups. Like, it's not uncommon for you to drive behind a restaurant and see people smoking heaters because of the stress of the environment.
Right.
And so we're big believers in personal development, and our number one core value at Jacked is extreme ownership. And so like we have that as a mandatory reading for our staff. So a big part of kind of like switching the playing field is actually pouring into those guys and being able to provide an environment of growth. So the mission is multifaceted, and it starts within our four walls of where we have, and where we're at now has been awesome. We've been really blessed with the space that we have, and working along other business folks and professionals. Now we feel like we have grown, and we're at that point where we want to have manifest like have our own energy, and people can come in and talk to us. And right now we can't have people walking through the kitchen because it's literally the back of the
I've
kitchen.
been yelled at every
so-
time I walk in there.
What you
Literally,
doing?
literally, Alan's like, "What are you doing back
I want
here?"
to ask, who yells at you?
You, every time.
Like I'm the police or something?
Every time I walk in there, you're like, "David, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I just want to come and say hi." And they're like,
I've scared
"No."
several people half to death.
But yeah, so that's a big part of what we're trying to do, build up our team, because like we talked about earlier, we're big believers in energy too. And that energy transfer through that
Right.
food, I firmly believe, like if we're in there and we're listening to motivational podcasts and things like that, and folks are getting their life where they want them to be, then they're going to transfer that energy through the
Well,
food.
positive mindset, positive outlook is at work or wherever you're at. That is contagious, and
Yeah,
so that's
exactly. And it works for the cows too.
right. Right, exactly. So if you can build an environment for your employees that makes them actually not be like, "Oh shit, I got to go to work today," and more or less like, "Okay, I get to go to work today,"
Right.
and they look forward to it, or at the very least that they enjoy it when they're there. I mean, that's where so many, I feel like certain businesses fail, right? And I think management's important, and
Yeah.
from what little I know about you two, because no, but I think both. Well, Jess is probably a good manager. I feel bad for
Am I
the
debatable?
employees when Alan's in there and it's just him.
Yeah,
Those poor
I do
people.
too. Actually, they actually respond sometimes well to my authority. I call it authority, but it's more of a "you're not doing it my way." But I understand people don't.
A lot of that's upholding a standard, though.
Yeah.
There's a
and-
process. That
Oh yeah, I'm
I
just
re-
giving Alan a hard time.
like what you stated.
I'm
it
literally
earlier.
just giving him a hard
I
time.
know you stated it earlier about my process.
Right.
I
You.
have an expectation of outcome that has to be met, and if it's not met,
Right.
then
I remember when
that
you
shit
guys
needs to be
just
recooked.
updated the website like 2 weeks ago, and like I couldn't talk to you for like 3 days because there was one day I about lost it on you because you were supposed to show up for work. You're supposed to show up at the gym, and like I'm sitting in my car and I'm waiting, and finally I just went in, and you ended up I think being like an hour and a half. I pretty much finished the workout by the time you made it because you
Yes.
had a bunch of bugs you had to fix
Yep.
because you had that certain amount of time to get that done before.
So
you
people
guys
could order.
launched.
The people had to order
Yeah.
that next day. So yeah, it was very important, and I enjoy that kind of
Don't
stuff.
let your business get in the way of our workouts again, okay?
Yes, but
I
at
don't
least I
care
made it.
about your
At
business.
least I made it.
I care about you there next to me helping me work out harder.
See how selfish he is.
And then certain people, I won't say who, show up to the wrong gym to meet me and work out with me.
I still showed up.
You did show up. You
I
just
did
showed up
show
all
up.
the way across town.
I did. I showed up at the wrong location.
It's not our
So
fault
annoying.
that Lexington hasn't got off their ass and fixed the highways to properly
It can.
flow traffic.
I don't know why you even go out to Hamburg because it is literally like the traffic to get out in that area. Like it's just a pain. It's a pain to drive out in that area.
It's good to be in different environments, though. And I like to work out in different environments because there's people there that challenge you, and you just don't know when you're supposed to meet somebody.
That is
That's why I
true.
like going to different spots.
Just not in Hamburg. There's some good shopping over there, but from kind of where you guys live and kind of where I live, it is kind of a pain to get over there. Where Beaumont and High Street are a little bit easier. Have you guys worked out in the North Y?
There's a North Y.
Over off, I think it's off Loudon.
I have not.
Did you not even know there's a YMCA over there? It's pretty nice.
there's a North Y.
But see, that's what,
Wow.
That just even goes to show you how much time people spend in their cars. And so do you think that they want to go home after being in traffic all day and then go home and cook and meal prep and weigh everything out? No, they don't.
100%.
Even
They
go to the
definitely
gym.
don't.
I dream about it.
They don't. And
I'm almost
so-
going to go get a job to wear myself out so that I can cook and meal prep, just because it sounds so exciting.
Right. And I spend a lot of time in the car. And so having a meal right there just saves me
Oh my gosh.
so much. And I'm savage. I'll eat it cold. I don't even care.
No, I've seen this guy eat it cold multiple times.
Yeah. And it's
When we go
still
over to the
good.
cryo chamber and hit that, I'd be in the cryo chamber, like freezing my balls off, and Alan's just in there, just eating his chicken, looking at me all funny, just eating his chicken.
Yeah, I remember. Loved it every minute.
But no, like I love what you guys do. The food's amazing. Most everything you can heat up, like 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Yep, microwave's very.
If
and
you like
can also do it in
pancakes,
the
you can
oven.
have pancakes every day of the week. Healthy
Right.
pancakes.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing too. Is a lot of what we put into the menu is stuff that we really enjoy. Pancakes are like my favorite food, and so being able to be creative and come up with the different flavored pancakes. And we just had the Aloha BBQ Pizza not too long ago.
That was good.
And that actually came about because Alan had an addiction to like Jet's Pizza, and they had like some type of
It's good
barbecue
pizza.
pizza. Like
It's good
I'm
pizza.
talking
The
about
way I
2
ordered it was good.
pizzas a week. 2 pizzas a week.
Alan,
What?
how are you going to bodybuild eating 2 pizzas a week?
And-
Well, the problem was they had small and large in this type of pizza, thin crust, that I wanted, and well, the small is just too small. The large was like, well, I could probably finish the rest of it.
That is the problem when you're weight training. You can eat so much freaking food.
You got to control yourself.
You can definitely go overboard.
So I actually created that at home to try and help his addiction.
You did. Yeah.
And so the Aloha BBQ Pizza came about from that. And like we have another dish that's the Oma's chicken Schnitzel, and that Schnitzel recipe, I'm 3rd generation German, so that recipe actually came from like the breading and everything came from my grandmother, and we modified it to make it healthy because real Schnitzel's made with pork, so we made this one with chicken. And so it's really cool to implement those types of like personal things. And we're like, this is what people want too, if we're not the only ones. People want to be able to eat the things that they thought that, well, that's what I enjoy about life, and so I'm gonna have to give up on my goals to be able to enjoy something. I got to give it up. And so when we offer things like that, we don't want people to think that you have to give up on your goal. You don't have to. You can have both.
Just got to look at it a different way.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the Greek hero gyro,
Yes.
that was
Yes.
excellent.
Yeah, and we had the Zion Euro too, and that was
And then I think
from our trip.
one of my personal favorites was that macaroni and cheese you guys had.
Oh, the
What was that called?
The Buffalo Mac.
chicken mac.
Oh my
That's on the
god!
menu
It's coming
this
this-
week,
this
so
is
you
on-
better
it's on there this
order
week.
you, yeah.
Oh well, there may be an order coming through then.
You can go ahead and do it.
Right here, let me order my food in the middle of this podcast.
I do have to add something. I know we touched base on it earlier about the what was a big difference factor in terms of if something that we had to say that it was needed improved, which is the containers, right?
Right.
Well, our containers is one of the very first ones in the U.S. that you can actually put in the oven, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will attest to this. I do certain meals if I have the time. I'll throw it in an oven or the air fryer, and it does it. They
Just like you
I
bake it
literally
yourself.
text them like 3 times. You are sure I can put this in the oven and it will not melt? And you're like, yes, it is fine. I'll be really mad if you ruin my dinner.
It's beautiful, man.
But no,
it's a different taste, you know. So you got the skillet, you got the microwave, which is probably the least popular, I think, in terms of.
Well,
taste
but
and
that's the
flavor.
fast way.
Mhm.
So if you
Right,
if you're
that's
needing to
your
go,
fastest, yeah.
and
Mhm.
that's all you have. But you're right. You can throw it in the oven, the
Yeah,
skillet,
in the skillet.
and I use that.
Yeah,
Like
air
I said,
fryer
I've
as
used the
well.
air fryer as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think the air fryer is just as good as the oven. If
It's a little
not
bit faster.
Quicker. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
quicker. But like our breads, any kind of our taco dishes or anything with a pita bread or naan bread that we use, man.
Yeah. Well, and
really anxious.
then it doesn't seem to be like pasted into the bread a lot of times. So like sometimes
Correct.
what I'll do is I'll scrape whatever off the bread, and then I'll separate them, and because sometimes the bread doesn't need to be heated as long.
Mhm.
Yep.
But then I'm able to put it like right back on, and it's
Mhm.
like
Yep.
and eat it, which I kind of like.
Yeah, and the grating on the plastic, Alan spent a lot of time because we didn't want any plastic leaching coming through the food because we're talking
I
about
also
health.
don't want that in my food.
Yeah, we're talking
way.
about health here, and a
Yeah,
lot of our
imagine that.
folks do use the microwave. So making sure that we got a product that wasn't going to have any plastic leaching going
Right.
into the food was really important too. So
What else do you guys want to talk about?
I'd like to talk about those principles
Yeah.
that our 5 principles.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I would love to talk about your guys' 5 principles. I think that you guys have
You
some.
want to do that to me later?
What?
Talk about the 5 principles. I mean.
Oh. Yikes. That
Oh
gets
my
a
gosh.
yikes.
Oh my gosh.
Just assuming that, some of these listeners are obviously watching because they're interested in nutrition. These are the 5 principles that we apply for nutrition. We already talked about number 1, which is using whole food products.
Right.
And the second key to that is the macronutrients and the portions. So we always talk about
Anybody out there that just may not know what macronutrients are, it's kind of a breakdown of your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. And depending on what you may need for what, like an athlete will need a different breakdown than, let's say, a bodybuilder. An athlete will probably do higher carbs because they're going to need more fuel, where a bodybuilder may be more higher on the protein because they need that protein to pretty much rebuild their muscle and get larger muscles.
Yep, absolutely. So they each have their function in the whole ball game of energy and ATP expenditure, basically.
Exactly.
So everyone has heard of, at some point, counting calories. And so this is the example I always give. You can count calories, but you can fill those calories with 2,000 calories worth of donuts.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I've tried.
And
And
so
then regret it the next day.
Right.
But it was great going down.
Probably like 3, bro. Like your dense nutrition would be like nothing. You'd last 2 or 3 hours and it'd be gone.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Calories
Yep.
are just
You
so
would burn.
dense.
Yeah.
your body would crave other things because it's taking the macros is actually analyzing where those calories are coming from. So how much are you getting that's protein? How much are you getting that's carbs? How much are you getting that's fat? You fill it with the donuts, it's going to be high in the carbs, high in the fat, but then your protein's going to be low. So your body's going to be craving something. And then you're going to be like, well, I'm going to crave more food. So you eat 2,000 calories worth of pretty much carbohydrates and fats, and then you're going to eat more food on top of that.
People do this every day for breakfast. Like
Yeah.
if you really want to be serious, like it is very common for people to eat
I got-
thousands
I
of
got
calories
something.
for breakfast.
This is a fucking thing that's in America that's irritates me to death, but I love it because it tastes good too. So menu items, breakfast menu items. First watch. Let's get them on the record. So first watch. So you got
It's like name dropping
this
here.
thing called
They're
chimichanga,
on the record.
right? It's a chicken burrito with all the plethora of cheese and shit inside. Okay, cool. Carbs. You got the tortilla and you got some carbs inside, cheeses and stuff. and they also give you fucking potatoes with that carbs.
Some
like,
starches, baby.
Give me some different things, like some more protein on the outside.
Yeah, they're not going to give you more protein
some
willy-nilly.
Yeah,
protein's
because
expensive.
It's going to cost more money.
Yeah, but you're already paying $12 for that fucking plate. I mean, what's the problem?
You can get more protein. You just got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Bacon,
if
sausage.
you order from Jack Nutrition, you get ample amounts of protein, clean carbs. Right,
And
there's a difference.
And
Clean carbs.
and the other nice thing is you can customize. You can literally just order like pounds of
That's correct.
of your chicken, your
Yeah.
beef, your barbecue. So for people that, again, that's where we're going back to those custom.
Yeah.
Talking about custom things for people like myself. I get a lot of double protein meals from you guys because I need more protein. If
That's right.
I want the bigger muscles.
And that's why we put that, because protein's hard to break down. Your body will not break that down and push it to fat.
Right.
It's 0.007. I mean, likely chance, which is next to nothing, that it would go to fat. So higher protein, not
well,
all
and it
protein.
depends. Like if you're going to be lethargic all day and sitting around, yeah, of course, there's a better chance of fat
Right.
versus like you're getting in the gym.
Mhm.
So anyway, going back to your 5 principles.
Yeah,
Yeah, 5
absolutely.
principles.
So
Sorry
you
about
know, taking your macros is taking that next step of analyzing your calories. So that's why we think, you know, we don't push macros, but that's how we build the meals. So that way they're higher protein, clean carbohydrates, and then lower in the fat content. And all of our meals, for the most part, unless you go with the double protein portion, are going to be under 500 calories.
Yeah.
So that's the next principle is, you know, looking at your portion sizes and your macros. And then the third, I guess, principle, if you want to call it that, is just going to be your knowledge base. So being aware, mindfulness, that's what I was going to. Being mindful of your eating habits and what works for you, what doesn't. I think that's a big thing that folks don't pay attention to. It's like, every time I eat this, I feel like inflamed or I get bloated or whatever, but don't even think twice about that, about looking at the nutrition.
Right.
There's something else that must be wrong with me, or am I getting enough water? So taking note of that, especially if you're trying to change your nutritional habits and taking inventory of what works for you, what doesn't, is super important. And I guess these are only 4 principles. I guess the fifth one's
Come
a
on,
ghost
give us
one.
a fifth one.
The fifth one's a ghost one, but the last one is sustainability. And that's where we come in versatile with the menu, trying to bring in things that people like, because we don't want people to go to the birthday party and then feel like, I haven't had cake in so long, like I'm going to lose it, because that's that habitual cycle that we see folks going through
Or
with nutrition.
within that, being like, well, I'll have a small piece of cake, and that's all I'm going to have. I haven't had cake in a while, and I can probably safely cheat today. So that's the other thing that I think a lot of people, they get to the point where they make their life so strict with food that they don't like, you know, if they're not using your guys for meal prepping, let's say, and they're just doing their own thing, that what happens is they're not happy in life day to day, or they finally just crash, and when they crash, they just gluttonously overeat, and then they lose everything that they've tried to achieve. So sustainability is extremely important, and I guess I think you can make the fifth one discipline.
Yeah,
I think learning
and accountability.
learning those discipline, and I guess discipline kind of covers kind of a little bit of all those steps.
Yep.
But having discipline, being ex-military, discipline sometimes for me comes easier than some people, because I had to live a very disciplined life for many years while in the service. But for me, like, I use discipline to help keep myself on track.
I'm not sure if I've ever told you anything like this, but thank you for serving our country.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's very appreciated.
Whopping 4 years.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot. Just hung out on an aircraft carrier for a couple
2
of
seconds,
Has to
4
be
years.
done.
It's all
It
the
has to
same.
be
It
done.
does have to be done.
Yep.
But I think those are some great principles there. And so what's I guess, we talked a little bit about you guys hopefully looking for a space, but I mean, like, what are those next big steps? When are they going to happen, or when you're hoping they're going to happen? And like some of the stuff, there are other things that I haven't talked about that you guys want to do as well, moving forward.
Yeah, I think. Oh, you gonna go? You gonna go?
I was just trying to eat the mic.
Okay.
I was trying to eat the mic.
It's not tasty, man. Nor does it fit in your macro.
It doesn't fit in my mouth either.
It doesn't.
Mike Rowe.
And yes, Alan has tried to put it in his mouth.
I think something for us is just really, we've been active in the community, but
Right.
we want to continue to be active in helping serve our community. We also are really excited to get on board with some community partners. We want people to get a family when they get us, and we believe that we wholeheartedly provide a family for them, because a lot of these people are going through it alone, and that's where that discipline and that accountability piece comes in. We write a blog, like I'll write a blog every week just talking about life. It's not just about the food for us. It's about consumption, which that happens in our posts. We're not just talking about food. We're talking about developing and taking in healthy social media, taking in just being positive for folks, and then being really honestly a light in the community to help out. We want to be able to provide some school lunches for kids, especially, and Alan personally has a tie to that. He grew up on the school lunch program. And so having something to look forward to, like, we feel very strongly about that. And we also feel very strongly about our youth. And a lot of people will live a healthy lifestyle, say they'll die for their kids, but they won't live a healthy lifestyle.
Because they don't look at it that way. And it's, again, that goes back to that coaching, that nutrition coaching.
Yeah, well, I gotta work harder to be able to live or provide the life for my kids that I want, but that also goes down to your habits and those types of things. And so your principles of how you're living, and nutrition is all wrapped up in that. And we have already started the kids menu and dishing out some of the items.
I did see that actually on the website. Some of that stuff looked good.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's awesome. So they get little whole wheat pancakes. They're so cute. They're like that big. But we're putting more items on there, especially with it being back to school. So that's a really big piece of what we want to do. And like I mentioned, community partners, building a team of community individuals such as yourself, trainers, chiropractors, and just different resources, and partnering with those folks to be able to have a place on our website where we showcase their services. And we just have a community. Like, we started out literally on the tailgate of a truck.
Oh, you guys are super approachable. Like I said, it's like I literally met Alan getting merchandise for myself and just kind of developed a relationship there.
Absolutely. And so we want to be able to...
A friendship.
I remember now, like, how it happened, how it sparked. I saw your hat, which I thought was, like, transparent. And I said it in my mind. I was like, am I saying that right? And then I said it out loud, and you're like, hey. And then we had, that conversation. Sorry.
That sounds about right for Alan.
Yeah,
right.
Squirrel.
And something else we really haven't talked about, but we've mentioned, but maybe you guys didn't catch on, is that they come up with pretty much a new menu every week. Mm-hmm. So so you're not eating now. Certain items will come back around, like the buffalo macaroni and cheese, which I will be ordering this week. Yeah. But yeah, so some of those items do come back around.
Yep, but we don't do the same combinations. Right. Yeah, so we do different combinations of the meals, and that just keeps it, because like people don't eat the same thing all the time.
I do not want to eat the same thing.
And if you do, that's where we have the custom menu. You can build your own. But the biggest thing is just for us is to grow in the community and to be a presence so people know about us, and because we really honestly believe in our mission, and we really believe in growing the Jack Nutrition family and having the opportunity to help folks and see them hit their goals, but stay fueled and stay healthy to do it. Like, that's what we're trying to do. And that's going to always be a push and motivator for us, is to see these folks grow in their goals without sacrificing that nutrition piece.
Well, hopefully we can help some people. You guys can help some people with that. Now, and this is more of a question for Alan here, but you guys, I know another big thing is hoping to be able to start shipping outside the state. What's the timeline on that for you guys, being able to kind of go more nationally instead of just very local based?
Mm-hmm. Soon. I've quit giving dates because shit happens.
But this is something that you guys are hoping to do, like within the next year, is to have it to where you can start shipping to people, kind of like a HelloFresh or like some of these other big major.
No,
I guess meal prepping, or you guys do something different than them.
Completely different from them.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't tell those secrets though.
Okay. I'm gonna get them, and I'm gonna let you guys know later.
The biggest thing with that is, when you're giving your product to another carrier, they don't have the same mission that we have. So when it gets into their hands, it's really important that we have a very, very good partnership with those individuals, that they understand, like, this is going to someone who's changing their life. You ever try to change your life? Because if this box is damaged or they don't get their product, this is what they were planning on eating for the week.
Right.
You know, so really, really building that relationship, and that's why, you know, it has been something that has been prolonged for such a long time, because a lot of folks are like, hey, I'm going out of town, can you send them? Because that interaction is a lot different than when we're here local and people know us. Pretty soon you're interacting with people who don't know your face from Adam, and then it's that product is also being handled by somebody else that you're trusting to uphold your mission to customer service.
So that sustainability within the business is extremely important with the relationship that you have with these customers. And that's
huge for us. Like Alan said, like, customer service is extremely important. We've been on the receiving end of that, where like we've gotten,
I think we've all been there at some point in time.
Exactly.
We've all had bad customer service before.
Exactly.
I don't think you've had enough consistent with the same types of products. We've had multiple incursions that you may have ordered products from Amazon, Best Buy, etc.
Right.
But when you order from 36 meal prep companies and only 4 of them actually give a fuck, yes, there's a problem in the industry. Is it because you just want to make money and you think it's a
Well, money is a motivating factor, and you do have to have money to continue.
But a lot of those things get rushed.
That's right.
In order to get the dollar, and we're not willing to make that jump,
right?
You know, for just the money, because it could happen. We could go and do that, but if things, like I said, the partnership with who's handling the product is not,
you just don't want to sacrifice.
I don't want someone to have that bad taste in their mouth from our experience. Those things will happen, but we want them to happen a lot less.
Naturally.
Awesome.
So. Yep. And the reason I tried those companies to get those feedbacks.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't you? I mean,
okay, don't respond.
I talk to other personal trainers to figure out what they charge or what they do, because especially ones that I have good relationships with, because they teach me things.
That's right.
Or even just stepping back and just viewing to see how people interact. Like, and take advantage of what works and what doesn't. Like, sometimes you can skip a mistake because you're like, they're making that mistake. I'm not going to make that mistake.
At the end of the day, everyone's trying to, you know, for the most part, you know, we really hope that we're all trying to promote the same mission.
Right.
Which is to help people.
All your ambassadors, I feel like, align with you guys. All the people that you guys that kind of push your product because they have those same ideals with whatever they do. If it chiropractor or trainer or you guys have a handful of really cool ambassadors.
Yeah, plethora of variety.
Yeah,
different demographics.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun. As always, I'm sure we'll do this again down the line. Maybe next time we'll be you guys will be in a new building and have all kinds of new exciting stories. And shipping.
I think we could do a podcast inside our new facility.
Maybe
would be cool.
Take everything over there, podcast away.
Oh, you don't have to take anything.
You guys have your own podcast set up? There you go. They have their own podcast set up.
To go.
But no, I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking to me. Like, this was a blast. And, well, you guys already know I'm a big fan of the food. Right.
Education, baby.
And thank you for the opportunity, too. And we really appreciate your listeners for taking the time.
Yeah, of course.
Listen to our story.
Awesome. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. And we'll see you guys soon, hopefully.
All right. Sounds good.
All right,
Thank you.